Damn it!
I have dropped hundreds, if not thousands of hours into Battle Royale games, with the two main ones being PUBG and Warzone. And with that being said, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what makes these systems good for a Battle Royale game. So, for this video, we're going to be talking about the new Warcraft Battle Royale game mode that has just hit the market and kind of blindsided all of us. Is it the next best BR mode to hit the market, or is this a weak attempt at Blizzard grasping to make their game relevant? These are the questions that I hope to answer in this video. On top of all that, I'm going to give you guys my take on the game mode, explain what I like about it, what I hate, and what I think Blizzard can do to improve the gameplay experience. But first, before we get into it, if you guys are into staying up to date with what's going on in the gaming world, like learning about new games, or you just want to be entertained, then you should definitely subscribe to my channel because that's what I'm all about here, and I would love for you guys to become a member of my community. Okay, so initial thoughts. So after spending pretty much the entire night playing this game, I would say that it's fun, but it has issues. I think a really good analogy for this game mode is that it's as vast as an ocean, but it's as deep as a puddle. I think the game has some really good systems and mechanics, but I just feel like they don't go deep enough, and it just kind of feels like a very, I guess, rudimentary or basic version of a Battle Royale game, and I feel like they could just do so much more with this. Now, I do need to give credit where credit's due. This is a really cool thing that Blizzard's done. I think the fact that they're taking risks like this and just like throwing out a super crazy kind of game mode like this that's, never been done in, World of Warcraft in general. Just the fact that they did this is really cool. And even if this game mode has flaws in my opinion, I still really think it's awesome that they're doing this, and I really hope they continue to take risks like this in the future, because at the end of the day, people don't like stagnation, and I feel like if you have a brand like World of Warcraft that's been going on for 20 years now, you definitely need to start making some big shakeups to retain players' interest and, basically prevent your game from like fading into obscurity. So I've got a list of all of my, notes about this game mode. I don't really have them in any kind of like particular order, so I'm just gonna kind of fire off from the hip here and just, see where things stick. I think the first thing I really want to go into here is that I really think that having this game mode tied behind the subscription is a huge mistake. I think Blizzard would greatly benefit from this game mode in particular being a complete free-to-play thing that people can pick up even if they don't play retail or classic WoW. I think there's tons of players out there that have at one point played World of Warcraft, but they're not current subscribers to the game right now. And I feel like when a really big feature or game mode comes out like this, they're gonna load up the Battle.net.launch or whatever, and then they're going to get into the game and see that they need to pay the subscription to try this out, and they're just going to get turned off and just close out of the game, right? I think what they should have done here was make this version be completely free to play. That way you get players that have, they don't have an active subscription with World of Warcraft. They can get in there, play it, they enjoy it, they have a good experience, and then they can go, oh, maybe I should give, retail a try again. I think that would have been a much better way for them to, retain players than what they're currently doing. The next thing I want to talk about is, for me at least, the whole just overall gameplay experience itself. For me, it was fun, but the gameplay loop got old really quick. I would say after my first 4 hours of playing this game mode, I pretty much saw everything that was there. I tried all the different spells, I visited all of the different locations, things like that, and I feel like after 4 hours, that's really quick. And, when it comes to games like PUBG or Warzone, I think this more is kind of like attributed to the map size, but after hundreds of hours, I still have not visited all of the locations. I still haven't seen everything that game has to offer, right? So I guess that would be a pretty good segue to talk about the map itself. So in my opinion, like I mentioned, I feel like the map is too small. I really wished that the map was a lot bigger, and I get that they wanted to tie things in and, use the Arathi Highlands zone to do this, but I feel like for a game mode like this, the Arathi Highlands map is it's too small. There's not enough unique locations, and I think they would have definitely benefited a lot more if they would have, took the time to dedicate, their level designers to make a really big, kind of really cool map with tons of locations. And I mean, heck, they could have even gone with like, Chromie time stuff. And I don't know, there's just like an endless possibility of like key locations that they could have added into this new map. But I will say my biggest gripe from the game mode is I really feel like the map size needs to be like 2 to 3 times the size of what Arathi Highlands is. Another thing that really kind of like bummed me out was the fact that in a lot of the buildings inside this, I guess, game mode are just kind of empty. Like, sure, there's a few where you have like an elite NPC with a chest inside, a little small house. But if you go into like the barracks and you go up to the second floor, there's nothing up there, right? I think it would have been really cool if they would have done a little bit more, I guess, interior designing and add more secrets and chests inside of these kind of like bigger buildings, because I feel like the gameplay, I mean, with all the spells we have, it's definitely more like, mobility focused, right? So you need these like kind of big open spaces. But I think it would have been really cool if there were more, I guess, fighting inside these like small close quarters kind of locations. Okay, so moving on to the combat aspect of this game mode. I think the one big gripe I have with this is that once you get your fully upgraded spells, the melee button kind of ends up being useless. And to elaborate a little bit more on that, it feels almost like melee is kind of useless altogether. There's a few abilities to pick up where they're like actually melee focused, but for the most part, you're just picking up spells, right? So this almost feels like a battle mage / caster kind of battle royale game mode. I never really felt like I was being able to kind of build myself as a warrior or as a rogue. Granted, we do have a few spells. We've got a couple of rogue themed abilities, we've got like 1 or 2 warrior themed abilities, but at the end of the day, it still feels more like this is a mage, like a caster focused kind of game mode. So I think going forward, it would be really cool if they could start adding more, I guess instead of spells, maybe more ability focused things to pick up. I don't know, like what if you could pick up an item that replaces your melee attack with a giant 2-handed sword or something like that gives you like an AoE slash or spin or something like that. I think if they do more stuff like that, I think this game would be a lot more fun. Also, the whole leveling up and gaining experience aspect of this game mode, I really hate. It feels like a chore, it feels like busy work, and I just don't like it. When you have a game mode like this, it should be, focused more about, the player versus player interaction. And I just don't like the fact that you have to sit there and spend time leveling up your character instead of, doing more like PvP stuff. One thing that I found incredibly frustrating with this game mode is if you look at other Battle Royale games and you get towards like, the last, like the top 3 people or whatever, right? And this is just for, let's just use the example of like solo queue, right? In a game like PUBG, if you make it to the last couple of people and you've got some decent weapons, equipment, whatever, you've got a pretty legitimate shot of, killing that last guy and winning the game. But in this game mode, it feels like if you get to those last couple of people alive, those other people they've got all epic spells, they are max level, and it just becomes an impossible feat to, beat them in a fight, essentially. And it just becomes more of like a whoever farmed enough experience harder is going to win at that point. So let me give you guys an example. So in a game like PUBG or Warzone, if you get to that last circle where there's one other guy left and it's just you versus him and you have no gear or equipment and you manage to get like a pistol or something, right? If you catch him off guard, you can win, right? In this game mode, that is not something that can happen. Not unless you catch that person right after they finished killing another player and they're low health. But if they have full health and their spells are ready to go, you have no chance of winning if you don't have maxed out gear. That's why I feel like this game has to, I guess, adjust the TTK, which is time to kill. In a lot of games, especially FPS games, you can kill someone in the game rather quickly, right? But in this game, it's kind of a struggle, right? I think the time to kill in this game is more closer to like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, especially if you guys are both like really high level and you have all your spells. So I feel like the spells should definitely hit a lot harder. I think if you have like an epic level spell and it's like a skill shot type ability, if you hit someone with that should take like half their health away. And I also think we should have more skill shot spells in general. And I get that this is like a pirate themed kind of, I guess, mode or whatever, but I think it'd be really cool if we could have more, I guess, conventional equipment you know, like a bow and arrow or like a pistol that can actually be, or a rifle that can actually have some length to it instead of just being like a melee thing. So now I want to talk about a couple of big improvements that I think would really, I guess, make a huge difference with how this game feels, right? I think the first one is, I think they need to kind of tone back the number of NPCs that are like all over the map. I think they should have the NPCs kind of hanging out in the different like points of interest, right? But we shouldn't be seeing like raptors or spiders across the countryside. I think that's kind of dumb. I think what they should definitely do is add like secondary or bonus objectives, kind of like world quests in retail WoW, right? These would give you objectives to do on the map that don't involve killing players, that you can do to, I guess, gain experience if they want to keep levels in the game, or, you know, items or loot or whatever. And then the other thing I think they should do is add some airdrops, right? How cool would it be if they added an airdrop that would, you know, periodically drop legendary quality spells? Those would be heavily contested areas, and I think it would definitely make the gameplay more fun and engaging. But a lot of these changes or suggestions that I'm thinking about right now currently wouldn't fit very well with how the pacing of the current game is, right? I think the duration is like 10 minutes long. That's kind of how like a long match works. I definitely think they need to increase that to like 20 minutes. A 20-minute match with a much bigger map size, I think would definitely fit a little bit more well with how this gameplay works. You know, you're going to have a little bit more time to do things, spend more time leveling up, whatever. And I feel like that's like a component to these battle royale type games that a lot of people don't understand is kind of needed. You know, sure, you can have all the kind of like hectic moment-to-moment gameplay loops in this game mode, but I do think that having lulls between the combat where players can kind of like collect their thoughts, figure out where they're going to be going, plays a really important part in these kind of games. So in summary, I would say that after spending time playing this game mode, it's fun, right? It definitely is fun, but for someone like me that enjoys a little bit more depth to my gameplay, I just kind of felt myself getting bored of it, and, you know, I'm still going to play it here and there, but, you know, I'm definitely not going to be spending the kind of time that I would invest in, you know, other battle royale type games. You know, this is kind of like a one-off thing, right? And if they want me to spend more time into this, then they definitely need to put more, I guess, more depth into the gameplay and, you know, add some more stuff for us to do. But again, I definitely commend Blizzard for taking risks and doing really crazy stuff like this. I really hope they keep doing things like this in the future because I think everyone wins at the end of the day, even if this is just like a one-off thing. But I would love to hear from you guys and see what everyone's thinking. Do you guys enjoy this game mode or do you guys hate it? Either way, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for watching. I'm still Solo, and I'll see you all in the next one.